Good evening, everyone. Welcome. I'm Mark Coleman from Paul's Photo and the Creative Photo Academy. And next to me is Jill Sanders. We'll talk to Jill in just a minute. You guys will meet Jill. Jill and I have been friends for what? 10 years?
We've been friends for 10 years, but I bought my first camera from you in 1983.
83? Really?
Nikon FM. Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that. Or maybe I didn't know it, but I forgot it.
I've told you, just getting old.
I know. I just remember our discussion about the D810. That was the big discussion.
Yeah, but 1983.
1983, that's amazing.
Yeah, sure. I'm a local.
Yay, we love it. And you guys will get to see some of Jill's work. I mean, you'll get to hear a lot from Jill tonight. She makes beautiful pictures and a completely different photographer from my style. And that's why we teamed up to do this.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
Me too. It's two different viewpoints. It's really good to have this art of critique.
Correct.
Different styles.
So can you guys hear me and can you hear Jill okay? Yes or no? I want to, so somebody, yeah, with the mask on? Yes? Okay, great. They can hear us. Awesome. Great. Perfect. Yay, because that's got a Rode mic on my camera so we can hear us with the mic. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start out. So a couple of you have asked about the information. So what do we call a beginner and an intermediate? Well, I want to welcome you first to Paul's Photo. Many of you are our regulars and locals, and many of you from around the country and around the world. So we're a small camera store in Torrance, California. You know, we're a great place to get your cameras and lenses. You know, Jill will attest to that. You know, we've been the best camera store every year that they've made this poll in our local newspapers. We won the best camera store in the country award in 2012. And that's hard to believe. A small family camera store beats out the big guys, and we still really work hard to make that happen. Because of our core values. And we live by these core values of customer service, community, sustainable business. It's what we do. And I'm so lucky that we have this awesome creative community where we can be together right now virtually. Usually we're right here in the classroom, but tonight we're virtual for 2021. We'll do the classes virtually. And we share together, and it's so important. You know, Jill and I are going to talk tonight. Tonight's class is really a lot about sharing and putting it out there. So that's what it's all about. So we've done the previews on Dennis's influence in photography class. On Monday, we did the opening doors with Corey Savory. Many of you were here for that. So tonight, conscious critiques, listening and learning with Jill and I talking about the style expanding your photography class. And tomorrow night, I'm going to do a preview of the project class. So review the last 4 years worth of projects in the advanced projects class. These are the advanced program at Creative Photo Academy. We'll talk in a minute about what that means, but hopefully you guys will join us tomorrow night. In January, we're going to do an intermediate preview and a boot camp preview for those of you who are not an advanced photographer. If you're here tonight to learn about what is an f-stop, what is a shutter speed, that's not what we're going to talk about. We don't talk about that in advanced photography. We assume that you know how to work your camera, how to use your lenses, what settings to use. In advanced photography, we talk about why you make a picture. Now, we talk about that a little bit in boot camp and intermediate, but really that's what advanced is all about. Because at Creative Photo Academy, we have 3 different levels of classes. Photo boot camp for the beginners, for the people who want to refresh, who want to get some confidence in their camera about the numbers and the dials and the buttons. Intermediate, 5 choices, 5 different topics. We'll talk about those in just a minute. Intermediate is for the people who've mastered the boot camp concepts, who know what an f-stop is, know what a shutter speed is, know how to spot meter, know how to compose. But now they want to fine tune their skills. They want to get a better focus, a better feeling on their photography. And in advanced photography, it's all about creativity and why we take a picture. And taking your photos from good technical photos to great photos. And that's what we're about tonight. You know, Photo Boot Camp, we talk about the camera controls, the technical aspects of photography and your creativity and how we do that together. Boot Camp is a powerful class, 6 lessons. You have a notebook, you have access to the videos, you have homework every week with an image review, extremely powerful. the 6 lessons, the camera, lenses, ISO shutter, composition, exposure, light, flash and focus, filters, editing, and sharing. It's a proven technique. We've been doing photo boot camp at Creative Photo Academy since 1988. Since 1990, we've been doing intermediate photography, and intermediate has changed a little bit over the years. We're going to intermediate is where you hone your skills, where you understand what an f-stop is, you understand what a shutter speed is. How am I going to use that? Exposure, composition, landscape, flash, portraits, and events. We'll talk more about this when we're done tonight as we're wrapping up. And finally, the Advanced Photography Series. So inspirational images, Corey is teaching this. 3 sessions, 12 weekly classes, 3 times during the year. Andy Leibovitz in January, Ansel Adams in June, Dorothea Lang in September. Dennis Keeley is leading the Make Your Next Pictures class. Awesome class, very creative. Dennis is a great guy, great artistic photographer. Jill and I are going to talk about the style, expanding your photography. And tomorrow night, I'm going to be talking about the project class. And for those of you who are wanting a challenge, the project class is a challenge. And come see tomorrow night. We'll talk about that, and I'll get you going. All the classes are live online like this. I just have to get through all this.
Like, take your breath.
No, because I want to get to the good part, right?
This is all good.
I know. So live online, so they're recorded, so you have access to the recordings on all the classes, so you can go back and watch. You can, if you missed a slide, if you missed a chart, you want to hear it again, you have access to that on all the classes. And all of them are based on lesson, homework, image review. Learn it, practice it, let's talk about it. And that's the secret to how you learn. And people have asked me all the time, well, Mark, I can learn photography on YouTube videos. You don't get this on a YouTube video. And like I tell people, you always get what you pay for. So, yeah, I'm waiting for my Creative Photo Academy team, my friends, the regular students here, they'll chime in, they'll attest to what they've learned here at Creative Photo Academy, because we have an awesome, awesome community. All right.
Can I make a comment about
Absolutely.
Your school?
Yes, go ahead, Jill.
So we brought this up a little bit when we were doing the presentation, your advanced presentation class. And, you know, my background is a little bit that I graduated back in '91 from Parsons School of Design in New York with a BFA in photography. And that was 4 solid years of doing, you know, basically you're learning film, and it was a different math to learning. But when you're talking about like what Mark is saying about actual analytical structure of design and your emotions behind the person, it doesn't really matter if you're using film or you're shooting digital. And I think Dennis said the same thing, and, you know, and he's, you know, head of the photography at Art Center, is I honestly believe I could have learned exactly the same amount from your classes than I did 4 years at Parsons.
Thank you, Jill.
And it's true.
And it's a heck of a lot. It's a big discount, isn't it?
You know, yeah, that was like a house to own that. And it's great. It was great teaching, but not everything was great.
Yeah.
And you have such a good input with people, and the final presentations that people are doing, it's impressive.
So I hope you guys will all come tomorrow night, hear the presentation, and there's room for a few of you to sign up to join Jill and I for this amazing venture and adventure we're going to go with. I'm excited about tonight. Hold on, let me just, you guys really don't get to see me working on the computer. This is usually, you know, behind the scenes kind of stuff. So I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Sorry about this. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Here we go.
Yay. All right, so we're here tonight to talk about, oh, you know what, I lost.
Did you lose everybody?
No, they're still there.
Yeah.
I lost the chat.
Oh, to see what people say, yeah.
Can you guys still see us? I can't. Hold on.
There you go.
No. Okay. Can you? Sorry, guys. I got lost here. All right. Share screen. Here we go. Awesome. That's the right one. I just did it wrong. All right. So there we go. Can you see us? Can you see the slideshow, everybody? Anybody?
Where does it show up? There you go.
Yes, there they are.
There it was.
Yay. Oh, McKinney raised his hand. Awesome. So there we go.
Good job.
Okay, very cool. Yes. All right. So, welcome to STYLE, Expanding Your Photography. This is going to be a powerful class. So, Jill, you want to tell them a little bit about you, a little bit more about you?
Oh, gosh. It's always an interesting subject when you just talk about yourself, because most of us are behind the camera and don't really like all the focus. So, as I said, I went to New York for school, but when I decided to actually get back into photography, it was after, years of raising my daughter, and, he had to do some other jobs to make a living at a time. And then it was literally like I got on the right digital format train when it happened. And I think that's when I did with you, the Nikon N90.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So that was the first digital camera I had until Graham walked across the river in Yosemite and dropped it. And then we got another one. But it built up. I felt like I got on that train at the right time, and so learned the digital stuff. And prior to that, I write in my bio on my website, so a lot of people do know, but so
it's JillSandersPhotography.com, right?
It's JillSandersGallery.com or JillPhoto with an F.com. But back in '93, when I was 28, I was diagnosed with an epithermoid brain tumor. And that kind of put everything to a halt after I graduated at 91. And my grandfather at the time, he knew that I needed to, do rehabilitation and whatever and stay at home. So we bought the very first Macintosh Quadra 700.
Wow.
And Photoshop 1, not CS1. Photoshop.
Yeah.
I had a SideQuest drive.
Oh my gosh.
I'm dating myself here, it's great. But honestly, because of this, with my 4 megs of RAM and my 500 megabyte hard drive, not gigabyte, I again, like learning with the first digital camera from you, I learned the basics of, so it's like a second language, being born with how to edit and to do this. So I've just been since then growing and growing with this whole format of being able to express myself through this whole new medium and your creativity to work as quickly as your thoughts do. So
that's a challenge, isn't it?
I don't know. I guess, yeah, at times, because it's like learning a new language all the time. There's always something different. New firmware. Oh, now there's a version 2.
Yeah.
There's always something.
There's always something, isn't there?
But that keeps you alert.
Yeah.
It keeps you awake instead of just reading the same book.
Yeah. So, gang, Jill is being very modest because she is an awesome photographer. You'll get to see some of her pictures in a minute. She has JS Galleries in Redondo Beach. She's award-winning landscape and nature photographer. And that's why I wanted to work with her so much to make this happen. So we're going to share some pictures. So first, we're all fans of Bob Ross. You guys know Bob Ross, right? Yeah, however you think it should be, that's exactly how it should be.
That's right.
As we're making happy little clouds and happy little trees, right?
I think that is like the best quote to guide this whole class is be true to your own voice.
Absolutely, and we all have a different voice, isn't there?
We do. Don't be like the guy next to you. Do this, shoot this way, do that. Do whatever you want because this is your art.
And part of what we're going to be doing over the next 12 months together is looking at the works of famous photographers because they will have something to teach us. Now, we don't want to make pictures just like them, but we want to take what they tell us, take their techniques, their ideas, and their treatment of subjects, and add that to our toolkit because it's so powerful.
Right, because people bring up Ansel Adams all the time. Is it because Ansel Adams shoots black and white?
No, it's because the only name they know.
But his work affects people.
Yes, it does.
And it's not just because he shot Half Dome in black and white and he used a polarizer filter.
No, but I think a lot of that's because we're in California and we've all been to Yosemite and we want that picture.
Well, true. I just think that he still has an edge that he makes you feel
Oh, yeah.
at that moment, which is
Yep.
what you want to do if sharing that. But you're right, it's a common name. He's the Kleenex of tissue.
So gang, these are Jill's pictures. Jill, you want to talk us through your photos?
Sure, we could just look through them. I always talking. I mean, this is shot over at Abalone Cove. Most of my work as we go through here it's always just trying to capture certain moments. So I do a lot of like the snow behind downtown. There's clouds out in PV. There's just different, Milky Way in Joshua Tree. I always try and be aware of what's happening, and then kind of it's like a scavenger hunt. It becomes a game and fun to go out and chase that moment, and then to create it. It's I don't know. It's like a really fun game. It's exciting, and like this is a very overshot composition, and it's really rewarding to get it exactly how you see it balanced. So I'm a little OCD with my images. It has to be tilted a little bit this back, you can.
But in your fine art photography, Jill, if you're not OCD, if the image isn't perfect, nobody's going to buy it and put it in their living room.
You're right. And it's nice to have that where I'll get comments from people where they're just like, I've shot that. How did you just get that moment? And it's OCD part of me. It is like, this is on the Merced River in Yosemite in June. It just started raining, beautiful summer scene. There was a tram behind me with a bunch of tourists and selfie sticks. And then it started raining. They all got on the bus and left. And I had this moment to myself. So it's just things like that where you're also out. I always tell people I'm out in the chaos of the world, and you seek those moments of solitude and peace and how you can create it still, no matter how busy. Even though there's a tourist bus behind me, you wouldn't know that looking at this image.
I don't know what I did here.
What happened?
I hate the map when it does that stuff. I don't think I can type into the chat. We'll have to talk. So Mark, your question about Ansel Adams, the inspirational images Ansel Adams section in June is awesome because that goes completely through the F-64 group, the founding of the zone system, all that great stuff. So beautiful image, Jill. I love this one.
Thank you.
I love all of yours. I mean, I wish I had enough money and enough wall space so I could just come into your gallery and take one of each.
Well, you can do that where you can just come and hang out.
Yeah.
And I actually do get some people that just come and hang out, and it's nice. I say it's a place where it's, calmer light, and they can just kind of breathe for a minute from the world.
And this one from Venice, how cool is that?
Yeah, so I have a series that I did that's on my website. You can see the COVID series. I did the empty streets of Los Angeles back in March. And this is when LA County went in and filled all the skate park with sand. So everybody would stop skating.
Right, because otherwise they wouldn't.
And, there were only like 5 other photographers out there. That's the thing, too, that if you do photojournalism of any kind don't think that everybody else is always there.
They're not.
They're not. It's not. This is in Kauai, my favorite places in the world. And so I love to study these beaches and just, it's like walking through a live motion painting. Yeah. And I just love creating with the clouds and water there. And this was just last week. I went up to 24-foot surf. It was going to be at Morro Rock. So we just went up for 2 nights and followed the surf, chased the waves.
Endless summer, dude.
Totally. There's a day. Totally. And this one is like, I titled it on Facebook. I said, Manhattan Beach dropped the mic.
Yeah.
This was just such a killer sunset. It was just bam. So that was, again, too, this is one of the most over photographed spots that there is. Everyone's image will be different. So you have to kind of make it like stand out. What makes it different than others? Why do people like this one over the other one? So that's something where you learn your own conscious critiques of your own work. This is last fall when we were traveling in New Hampshire. So that was with, this.
I love this one.
This is New Hampshire as well. This was the lake that we were actually staying on. So we did an Airbnb, and this was the sunrise with the inversion layer. It was just exactly, again, what I was saying about how it was just that moment, you tell somebody fall, New England, and they think hot cinnamon tea and
yes, exactly.
blanket, and that's what it was. We're sitting there with the cinnamon tea in the car, going like, with great music, and I'm like, this is just heaven, and it's so great to kind of create that feel in an image.
Yeah. So Cobb asks, are these the original skies? Are you a Photoshopaholic, or are you minimal on your Photoshop?
Oh, I am totally minimal. I don't add anything.
Yep.
Ever. I try and honor how beautiful Mother Earth is. That's just, I guess, old school trained like that. I will get rid of censor spots.
Of course.
I will get rid of, if say there was a beer can just happened to be on the sand,
right,
and like that. But no, I want to give you what was there.
Cool. Yeah, I love this one. This is a great. This reminds me of the class, because we're going to run out to the end of the pier and jump in.
And jump in, yeah.
And we're going to get wet. So
that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
This is, there's a lot of piers that people always look for. It's like to try and find a pier that also doesn't have, pylons on the side or a boat attached like this. This was some private property on the lake that Graham's like, come on, I found it. He kind of scouts for me at times. I found the pier, and it was perfect.
Cool. Yes, Chris, you're going to get assignments every month in the class.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about that as we go on. And so
now there's Mark's
my photography. So I like to photograph different things, but I like to challenge you with my pictures. I like my pictures to ask a question and to cause you to think, to be different. My images are, I'm not a landscape photographer. I do a little bit of everything. That's probably my biggest weakness is, I'm a master of none and practicer of all. So, but I love to photograph and I love to tell stories, and I love to bring the master's work in almost every picture that I make. I see in the back of my mind an image that I've seen before, a piece of art that I've seen before, a newspaper article, a movie set, a quote. And because that's what I want to bring to the picture. And I want the picture to have that storytelling element behind it. And that's what I want to bring to you guys during this class. And so I just want to bring that power, to your lens. And so that, Jill and I together are going to love to make this all come together for you. It's going to be a journey. We're going to start at one place and we'll end someplace else. We know that. We have it all mapped out, but you know what? Best laid plans of mice and men. I love to do figure photography, and it's a part of what I do. It's part of my jam. Some of you have done figure photography with me, and it's just such a powerful tool to capture emotions, to ask those questions. And some questions people want to ask, some people don't. And that's the power of what we're going to do over the next year together is, to bring the image to tell a story, to have power, to have gravitas for you. I love that. And I love to bring you a little bit of everything. So that's where Jill and I are completely different in what we do and how we're going to do it. So we have a pretty exciting year planned, and I hope that all of you, there's not room for all of you to join us. There's room for 25 of you to join us. So I hope you're ready to do that. And if you're ready, if you want to go sign up right now, go ahead and do it. Then make sure you get a spot. So in the class, Jill, we're going to be exploring photography and its influences, because the pictures we see have influences in our lives. And you and I have talked endlessly almost about the other photographers and their styles.
Right.
And that was what I felt was what you really wanted, what you wanted to bring to this.
Yeah, about it, right, acknowledging other people's styles, and do you take things that you honor and respect in that and put it into your own? and develop your own. So that's where the next quote, right, that we have, I think. I was thinking of Dennis.
Oh, no, he's coming, he's coming.
Okay, well, we'll get to that point in a minute, but it's really important to, when people look at your work, that they can say, that's Mark's work. And you have to figure out, like, how do you really share yourself and your soul, and not just, this is, like I said to you the other day, just to get somebody to tell you that's a pretty picture.
Yeah, that was such a great quote.
Yeah, that's
right?
a pretty picture. It's really nice.
I like that picture.
Yeah, I like that. It's very interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's, you and I are like that, we agree.
Yeah.
But that's not what we want. Those are not, we don't want you to make nice pictures. We want you to make pictures that tell a story, that have an impact, that cause people to think. There's a great quote in here about thinking about pictures too. I really
Yeah,
love
we have
that.
lots of great quotes for you.
Yeah.
Pictures that move you, there's historic pictures from time that stick in your mind and that you know. And I think it's for everybody to share if they have pictures themselves that sticks in their mind. Why?
Yeah.
Why does it affect you? Why do you know about, the war shot of the soldier kissing the nurse?
Yep.
Why does that stick in your head?
Yep.
There's images. Is it because, it's a perfect grayscale, a nice composition, a rule of thirds? No.
They got the f-stop right.
Yeah.
Kurt Taberson got the f-stop right on that one.
And that one. But it's about, you sit there and you notice those images that have affected you, whether it's landscape, photojournalism, and you say, that shares, it moves me.
Yep.
And you want to move people with your art.
Where are you? How do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? What can we do to help you get to where you want to be? And that's why this is an advanced level class. We want to help you ask those questions of yourselves. And I don't want you to be like Mark, and Jill doesn't want you to be like Jill.
No.
We want you to be you.
Right.
But, we've made a lot of mistakes. There's a great quote in here about that too. But sharing those mistakes with you is just, yeah, Dave, it's going to be hard. Yes, Chris, you do have to do a self-portrait.
It's going to be hard, but it's not going to cost you $50,000 at Parsons to discuss it.
Correct.
It's anything that's worth value is difficult and a challenge.
Oh, yeah. So, Ed, it's going to be creative. It's going to be extremely creative. I mean, you're not going to be doing push-ups for the sake of doing push-ups. You're not going to be digging a hole in the backyard and filling it up again. We're going to challenge you, right? So Jill and I have come up with a lot of exercises to move you in a new direction. And the evaluation, the discussions, the critiques are going to challenge you. And that's what we want. One of the things that Jill brought when she brought this to me was, you want to tell them you remember what you said?
I don't know what I've said a lot.
We've said a lot to you about you want a critique that's like you had at Parsons.
Right.
You want a critique that's going to not just be, it's nice, I like it.
I want people that I respect and trust to look at my work and give me direction and something that will improve my work, not put me down, but different directions I could take that could help express what I'm trying to say in a better value.
Yes, exactly. So what are you going to learn?
You're going to learn to respect your photos.
And so for me, that's one of the biggest challenges that all photographers have. People either go into one camp. They think their stuff is great and it's not, or they think their stuff sucks and it's really good, right?
Right. So it's learning to step back from your own work, see it with a naked eye, a neutral eye. Like, how when you're editing, for example, Mark, and you're looking at some images, say 2 years ago, and you're looking through your Lightroom catalog and you pull up an image and you're like, wow, that image is great. Why didn't I edit that before? Right. So what is that vision that you have right now? Why is that image good to you and it wasn't 2 years ago?
You didn't see it. You weren't in the right place.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've developed something where you're noticing, I did have something, or I could even crop or do this, and that's there.
Yeah.
So it's having a different perspective at your own work.
So Chris, the self-portrait will be different this year in this group. So please just rest assured. So you're going to respect others' arts, and you're going to learn to appreciate how Bob and Sally and Kim and Chris do their pictures and what we can learn from each other. And that's one of the greatest things that I always learn more from the group than you guys do from me. And it's just one of the powers of what we do together here. So.
Which is great that you do the assignments too.
Yes.
And I think it's really important to do that because, we can sit here and talk about this, but I continue to learn daily.
You have to learn every day, guys. The day that I don't learn is the day I'll die.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not tomorrow.
No.
So we
have this.
Yes, we have this. We have our masks on, right? So we want to grow creatively. We want to learn, build our skill set. And maybe the skill is a different approach to using a telephoto lens or a different way to use this or that or the other thing. So, there's a lot to this, gang, and it's just going to be great fun and a challenge. And you got to be open. You've got to be open to this process. And you have to trust us. I mean, we trust you. I hope that you trust us. And hopefully you're starting to build that trust tonight.
Okay, so each month, do you want to talk about kind of an idea?
Yeah.
So one of the ideas we came up with is so we have an idea and a theme. So for example, we pick, we were talking about Ansel Adams. So say we pick Ansel Adams, right? But we're not going to have you go out and shoot a landscape like Ansel Adams in black and white. Instead, we're going to say we want you to shoot a still life, but we want it to be shot in a way where we would look at it and think that Ansel Adams shot that still life. So that you have identified a style, learned that style, and know how to incorporate that into anything. So once you have your own style established, you could do the same thing with landscape, portraiture, something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, perfect sense to me. And so there's a couple questions about, so between Christmas and New Year's, you'll be getting the packet for the class with your assignment for our first meeting. So there'll be a questionnaire and your assignment of what you're going to bring to the first class. So that's coming between Christmas and New Year's. The reason we do it that way is some people have been given the class as a Christmas gift, and we don't want to spoil that surprise. So
I like that.
Yeah, it is cool, huh? And so we're going to look at other photographers. We're going to look at many photographers and some photographers that you probably have heard their names, but others that you haven't. And some are going to be a challenge for you to look at their images and see, how can I do that? How does that relate to me? But there's something to be learned from everyone. So.
And it's so much fun to do this, and this was a similar thing that we did in school.
Yeah.
It really is. There are certain photographers that have set the bar, and their work's incredible. And when you sit there, like, I don't know how they did that. It'll really make you think and see work from a different angle.
It's just going to be the challenge. And yes, there'll be assignments. So you'll be asked to do this or that or the other thing every month, and then you'll bring it back, and we'll talk about it. And
well, we won't just talk about it.
Absolutely.
We'll have a critique.
Right.
That's where you learn the conscious critique of being ready to respect your classmates in this class, respect each other. And that's part of it. It's not just us commenting on the work. You all will be commenting on each other's work.
Absolutely.
So
I love Bob Ross, right? You learn more from your mistakes than you do from your masterpieces. Absolutely. If it was easy, everyone would do it. So Emily wants to know, are you going to be using flashlights, all natural light? It's up to you. It depends on what kind of photography you're doing, Emily. What's your style? And if you're a heavy duty lighter like Joe McNally, then you're going to be using lights. If you're a natural light photographer like Edward Weston, you're going to be doing natural light. It depends on you. We're not going to tell you what you can and can't do. We may give you some direction as we're going to do this with this lens or that with that lens, but what you do is up to you. And I know that I'm not a big added light person. Jill, you aren't either. No. So yeah. Set your own rule.
it's my favorite new quote from Dennis Keeley, and he said it at the advanced class. And there was, who was it that did that image that shot the skateboard guy? Do you remember the name? I have.
Oh, with Evelyn, the skateboarder at Venice Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Evelyn, you're out there. Great picture.
Yeah, so
I liked it.
When we
It
were-
was nice.
it was really interesting.
It was interesting.
Good job and take care. It's like, no, it's like what I just said. It's one of those images that you get in your head. I haven't forgotten your image. I think it's
Yeah.
great. And when Dennis said, you set your own rule, I'm just like, that is the most perfect quote, because you can't be okay anymore with shooting something that's subpar, that's not at that level. You have this incredible of an image, so just keep pushing, like a long jumper, right? He jumps 10 feet. He can't go, oh, I jumped 6 feet today,
Nope.
6 feet today. Nope, his
Gotta
rule
go
is now
farther.
10 feet.
Yep.
So your skateboarding shot is your new rule, and everybody should have this now.
Well, but I also feel like there's no shame in shooting a bad picture.
No.
There's only shame in sharing a bad picture.
Yeah. Well, or sharing a bad picture and thinking it.
And thinking it's good.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So with regard to critiques, Jill and I have had many discussions for many hours about image reviews, critiques, and what's the greatest impediment? We talked about the self-critique. How do you self-edit? What do you do, and what is your challenge in self-editing?
I think, well, my personal, like when we do this is, I spend a lot of time, like other people do, like following other photographers on Instagram, and I'll look at their images and I'm like, that's brilliant, that's brilliant, that's brilliant. And then you start becoming down on yourself, because you're like, there's so many incredible photographers that you really don't believe in your own worth. So it's really important to believe in yourself and what you can do. And that is an impediment that stops you from creating more. Because like, I can't create as great as he can.
No. So my biggest problem is that I remember the moment. I remember the thrill of taking that picture, right? And a lot of times I'm not willing to throw it away or move beyond it because it was such a great moment.
Oh, that's neat.
And, I tell people all the time, you take the picture and I smell the pine trees, I hear the river, but you don't get to do that. All you get to see is the picture. And I try to detach, I try to step back from the picture, and it's a struggle. And for many of you, I've helped you edit a lot of your pictures. It's so easy to edit other people's work. It's so difficult to edit your own.
Yeah, it really is easy to do others.
Absolutely. So in the project class, they bring me their projects, 25 photos, and they, 30 seconds it takes me to find the 12 that go together, right? But they've struggled and beat their breasts for 6 months over which of the 12, right? And they can't do it.
They do, but it's interesting. Like when we did the advanced class again, when we picked out the images we liked of each individual person, it was like 9 out of 10 times Dennis and I chose the exact same images.
Because they had an impact.
A strong image is a strong image.
So just to let you know, in the advanced project class, we have 2 guest evaluators at the final presentation. Jill has graciously done that a couple of times for us, and she did it this year for the 2020 group. And it's a great experience. I mean, it's something that you all need to do. What do you learn from a critique?
You learn to step back from your image. You learn to be humble, and you learn to sit there and hopefully see your work, again, like I said before, with a different angle. And, it's like the book, remember the book, The Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain? It's like that. You no longer look at it, oh, this is my beautiful image of the lions.
Mm-hmm.
This is, okay, I'm seeing the lion's shadow. Is there really emotion in this? If it was a little bit here, even a little step, if you step this way, Mark, for this image, would it have more impact?
Mm-hmm.
You learn to see it structurally instead of just what it personally means to you.
It's not what it's a picture. It's what is that picture doing? What is it accomplishing?
Right.
Yeah. I want to learn what people think. I want to know if the story I'm trying to tell comes across. Right? And do I care, Jill, if you like it or not? No. but I do care. I want to know if I hit the mark or not. Did I hit the target?
Right.
Or did my arrow go way off into nowhere?
Right. That's a good point. It doesn't matter if I like your image.
No, but am I on target? So, how do you get the most from a critique?
That goes so deep from something because sometimes people don't get anything that can actually start feeling a little down and they put up a shield or a guard. So to honestly learn from the critique is to listen to the other person that you've deemed you have respect for, and you honor their opinion, realize they're not putting you down or judging you. They're just trying to fine tune your art, which they respect. And once you kind of feel that way, you realize, okay, this is, I am liked. It's not making me feel bad or judged. It's like they're helping me really make my work brilliant. And so it's empowering and it's positive. It's not to put you down. And I think once you do that, then you can take what the person's given you, and then you can go out, reshoot, apply it to your different work. And once you really listen to it, and then your new work, you'll be like, wow, I took those lessons and I'm creating better work.
See, I always learn more from other people's critiques than on my work.
Really?
Yeah, because Jill, we were in this class together, and I'm always tied too much to my work, right? So I share what I like out of it.
Right.
But when your work goes up, I critique it myself.
Right.
And now I listen to what the evaluator has to say. And how am I didn't see that. I missed this, right? And I love to see how other people work a subject. One of the powerful things we do when we do our photo trips is we have used to be a live get together, now it's online, and we show the pictures from the trip. And, we spent a weekend together, 12 of us, we went to the same 4 spots.
Right.
We shot the same pictures. But when 12 people bring their top 10 images, we rarely have any of them that are the same because everyone has a different vision.
Yeah.
And I love that from an image review and from an image to see how, golly, what did Jill see?
Yeah.
What did Bob see? What did Sally see?
I love that too when it's the same thing. That's why shooting the still life answer will be great.
It'll be great. It'll be a great challenge. And whether you're a still life photographer or not, there's something to be learned from that, and that's the power. So now we have an awesome amount of quotes to go through because Jill, I love quotes, right? So Sabrina Newby, right? True humility is being able to accept criticism as graciously as we accept compliments.
Right. And to, again, realize that it's not someone putting you down. They're trying to promote your work, trying to promote you.
But we also have to put that backwards because some of us don't like the compliments. We're not comfortable with the compliments.
I think that people aren't comfortable hearing it up front, but I think when they go home alone,
they like
it.
Yes, then it's they like it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
This is my favorite one, okay? Constructive criticism is about finding something good and positive to soften the blow to real critique of what really went on, by Paula Abdul from American Idol, which is so great because when we were talking about this, if you guys all watched the show when it first started, Simon Cowell is brutal, but he's usually spot on with what he's saying, but he's mean and it's got a bite to his words. She was able to kind of direct and agree with Simon, but at the same time, yes, you did this great and this great, which you have to, what it's called, the sandwich.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that sandwich? You soften everything something nice. I like that you tried to do this. You could have directed this way a little bit, but the end result was moving in a positive direction.
Yeah.
So it's really important to do positive,
And we're going to be positive on the critiques. There's always something positive in every attempt. There's a direction, there's a nugget there. You wouldn't have brought the picture to the group if there wasn't at least a diamond in the rough. And maybe what you brought is a lump of coal. And if we hack on it and put some pressure on it, it'll turn into the diamond that you want.
Right. So that's a good way of looking at it.
I love this one. There are no rules for good photographs. There are only good photographs. And, you know, we don't care. Jill's not going to care. I'm not going to care what camera you used, what f-stop you used. Did you use a tripod? Did you hand hold it? Did you wait 48 hours for the sun to get in the right spot? We don't care. The picture is either right.
Right.
And so important.
And it's just the fact that you're creating, that's just so important in itself, that you're creating. That's just a positive note in that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Jay Maisel said, if you don't go out and photograph, all you're going to do is hear about it.
And you know what? You do nonstop from everybody else, especially with Instagram. You didn't shoot that sunset?
Well, I think what he meant is you're just going to hear that everyone had a great time and you weren't there.
And you weren't there.
Yeah, so it's,
Yeah.
FOMO to the max.
Okay, don't shoot what it looks like, shoot what it feels like. And that is one of my favorite quotes, is sharing what you're feeling inside, because this is about you and your work. And so you don't want to just, you could say it's different with your type of work, but with landscape especially, you fight the whole postcard vision. Or, you know, like I'll have people come in the gallery and they'll be like, oh, I shot that sunset too. And they pull out their phone.
Right.
And you're like, no, you took a pretty picture.
Right.
That's different than an actual creating a fine art photograph of a landscape. And that's feeling, and that's
Where's the emotion? Where's the communication?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys should all be writing down these photographers, or I'm going to send you tomorrow the link to the class so you can write down, do the research on them. These are powerful names, ladies and gentlemen, that you should be incorporating in your daily study. And when Jill and I get on this, you know, we're going to use some of these and we're going to use some different ones. There's going to be some power here that you guys are just, I mean, hopefully you're going to rock this with us. So, and I love Harvey. He's a great guy. You know, one of my other favorite quotes, and I'm sure if it's up to me, we'll use this. You know, Gary Winogrand, one of my favorite photographers, says, I don't care what that thing looks like photographed. It's all about how that looks photographed by me.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that a great quote? I mean, I used to think it was arrogant until now I understand. This is a phone, and laying on the desk, it's a picture of a phone.
Yeah.
Let me put my magic on it and see what we can do.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, because you're going to learn to work magic, guys. That's the whole point.
When people look at my pictures, I want them to feel the way they do when they want to read a line of a poem twice.
Yes.
And that was the strongest quote of this
Yeah.
for me. You know, it's those moments that make people stop in their tracks and feel. And they feel that moment. They read that line again and they're just like, wow. And you want people to stand in front of your work and look at it, and whether it makes them think of something personal they've experienced or they've gone through, or something that's going on in the world, they are feeling with you.
Yeah, and that's the biggest compliment.
100%.
Yeah, and when I hear from somebody, when they look at one of my pictures and they say, you know, Mark, that reminds me of, you know that you got it.
Yeah.
Right? You accomplished your goal. And it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, right? Now, if I'm doing a documentary and I want you to save the whales, you know, do whatever, that's a different story. But what I want in my pictures is for you to have a human experience.
Yep, perfect.
To connect with the picture, because we're two people on the same planet.
Yeah, you're creating that magnet, right? You're creating a connection.
I love this one. There's nothing worse than a sharp image of a fuzzy concept. And, you know, we get this all the time. And I know I work in a camera store, and I know I'm always, you know, a lot of you, you know, Mark, you want us to buy the newest and the biggest. And I do, because I want it to give you capability, you know, and I do because I want you to be happy with your pictures. But realistically, do we care what lens you used and what aperture you used to make this picture? That's the technique. I mean, the writer, you don't ask Hemingway, what typewriter did you use, right? You don't ask Bob Ross. Well, they'll tell you, I used the fan brush and just a little with the wrist on the fan brush, right? I can never get the fan brush to work for me.
Happy little squirrels.
Happy little squirrels, but I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you're having fun.
But it's, you know what, even though what you're saying though, when you're talking about gear,
Yeah.
though, I always kind of bring this up to people too, because it's the number one question I get, what camera do you use? All the time. And we always laugh because it's like, you don't ask the chef what oven he's using.
Correct.
You know, but at the same time, there's things that I am allowed to create with my work because of the camera I have and the lens that I have. But I've learned enough to know exactly what tool I need in that moment.
Right.
So if you have a bunch of gear, but you haven't learned how to develop your concepts and your style, you can't do it. Like, you're not going to put a 16-year-old in a Ferrari when they're just learning to drive grandma's Prius. You know, they got to master the Prius before they can move on.
Yeah. Oh. A good photograph is one that communicates a fact, touches the heart, and leaves the viewer a changed person for having seen it. In a word, effective. I love Irving Penn. He's so powerful.
Me too. And so this woman that I assisted for in New York, because you had to take a class where you were an assistant as a senior there, she did product design and stuff like that. She married his son.
Really?
Now she's Gabriella Imperatori Penn.
Wow.
It's always, well, I'm like, your father-in-law is Irving Penn. That's cool.
Did it get her anything?
No, she's just, you know, how they travel and do photography, and she's got a great life, you know.
Oh, that's cool. Are you still friends with her?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what's great about Facebook and connections. You always know college years and what you work for. And I have the funny story with her too, because, you know, she was, you know, probably 28 when I was, you know, working for her, but she was successful. But she shot with studio lights, and she had a power pack, and she didn't dump it before she gave it to me to take to another studio. And I'm walking down Soho carrying a charged up power pack.
No.
I mean, it could have been the enemy, but luckily I made it. And I'll never forget that lesson when I dropped off. They're like, they didn't dump the power. You're lucky to be here.
Did I ever tell you my buddy's Marco Glaviano story?
No.
So my buddy John, if you're out there, right, graduates from Brooks.
Right.
Gets his first job as assistant for Marco Glaviano, shooting for Playboy in Hollywood.
God.
So
His first job,
right? And he was like third assistant, right? So his job was to plug in the Hasselblad, right?
Right.
So back in the day, the sync cord on a flash had a plug that looked like an Edison plug. So the photographer, Marco, says, plug me in. So instead of plugging it into the pack, he plugged it into the wall.
Oh my gosh.
So Marco Glaviano was standing on a catwalk above the bed with the Playboy.
Oh my God.
He hits the button, gets a shock, falls off of the catwalk onto the bed.
No way.
Needless to say, my buddy never worked in that studio again. So yes. Studio lights, exactly.
Yes.
So why the mask? Because we're trying to be safe. We're having, COVID is really, really, really peaking here in California. We have, all the hospital beds are full, so we just want to be super safe. So.
Yep, not much longer, but.
We hope so. Hope not much longer. Do you like Bill Brandt's work?
I do like Bill Brandt.
I love his stuff.
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, like you said, to study. Art history is such an important concept of developing your own artwork too. It's like these are the masters.
Yeah.
They have set the bar for us.
Yep.
Photography has no rules. It is not a sport. It is the result which counts, no matter how it is achieved, which is so great. I love because you know when everybody says the rule of thirds, I was not taught that in school.
Really?
Mm-mm. I wasn't given anything like that. It was just all about like what you and I are trying to teach you now.
Yeah.
You know, you just need to train your brain to let you out in your creativity, not follow some standards. And it comes naturally. You know, you won't even realize you're doing rule of thirds when you just look at your work. It's there.
Well, so I like to talk to my boot campers about we're building muscle memory.
Yeah.
So, you know, when I pull up the camera, it automatically goes to, you know, rule of thirds, golden mean, whatever I'm seeing in the shot.
Right.
That just happens automatically. I don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And we've got to get you guys to that point. It's so powerful.
It'll become OCD for you too. You'll
Yeah.
notice it when it's
Yeah.
too centered or off. You're like, oh, imagine it was just there. And, and then it's a good thing to go and reshoot something. If it's an action thing, go and reshoot it. And you're like, oh, I see it now.
So I did a project on Bill Brandt's work.
You did?
So one year, my project was called Black and White, because I did all figure with that real stark style of his.
Right.
And I think I'm going to talk about that tomorrow night. I think that's in the show for tomorrow night. He's a powerful photographer from the 1950s, just after World War II in England. Got in big trouble for photographing women with no shirts on.
But men can be photographed.
Absolutely.
Because they're nipples.
The errant nipple on the Facebook nipple jail.
Do you know that this used to be a conversation in bars in Hollywood back in the days where, this is such a funny story. I went with some friends and I were at this bar in Hollywood and we went up to, the actor Steve Buscemi?
Yes. Oh my God.
To him, of all people in the bar, and said, so why do men have nipples? And it's quite a conversation at parties to bring up, because it gets them thinking. And obviously it's just because, before your gender is really identified in your fetal development, you have all the parts.
Yes.
But it's a funny thing when you start thinking about it, like, well, I don't know what.
Why did nature give it? And gorillas have, and chimpanzee males have nipples.
Well, it's probably the same thing in their development, but it's just an interesting concept of like why it doesn't get pulled in like your tail or something.
Exactly. Well, we'll see. Maybe one of these days. So Jen Rosenbaum is a contemporary photographer. She's an awesome storyteller. Hopefully she'll be speaking here. I talked to her about doing a presentation at Creative Photo Academy, and she says, we don't learn from our good images. We learn from the ones that can be improved on. We want to always push. Somebody said that we need to embrace the suck. We need to work outside of our comfort zone. We need to push the envelope. Don't be afraid to fail. That's where we learn. That's where we gain power. So I hope you guys are ready to fail. I hope you're ready to work to the fail.
Which is great. Push yourself to that. Yeah. And William Klein, be yourself. I much prefer seeing something, even if it is clumsy, that doesn't look like somebody else's work.
Yeah.
And that's, even though we're talking about, okay, this could be confusing. The assignments we have, which is mimicking the style and understanding the style, is not, that's like working out. That's a different thing than then when you go and apply the techniques you've learned to your own work, that it becomes you, not somebody else's.
And it's really powerful how when you look at the work of other photographers or other artists and you start to encompass and incorporate their techniques into your own, how even people who feel like they don't have a style, you naturally gravitate towards it and the style will come through. I talk for those who've had my project class in the past, we shoot the project pictures and people always worry. I said about which ones are going to be good. And I said, don't worry about it. The cream rises to the top. The good pictures end up levitating off the table. And it's the same thing with your style. You're going to push yourself. And if you work hard at this, you will find your path. You'll find your way. And it comes through hard work.
It does. It's years.
Yeah. But we're going to make it so it doesn't take years. We're going to work on it in 12 months to help you get there.
And that leads right into this
Yes.
quote. Do you want to read it?
Go ahead.
Fear is the thing that prohibits a lot of photographers from reaching their full potential.
Yeah.
Colin Pearson.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's fear.
Fear of failure, fear of trying, fear of putting yourself out there, fear of exposing who you really are and what you really feel.
That's a huge one right there of who you are, because people can sit there at some of your images and they'll say, how did you capture something like that? And that opens up a dialogue of who you are and your past and pain. And, there's stuff there. Not everybody wants to always share that, but artists, if you're here listening to this and you're in this class, you are an artist and you have to let that out. You have to release that to stay, sane. And that's part of that is fearful to be that vulnerable to other people
And that's what we're here for. So that's what Jill and I are here to help with, is to help you facilitate and to feel comfortable, because you're going to see our mistakes and you're going to see the mistakes of everybody else in the class. And how are we going to get better unless we're willing to try something different?
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yep. If I have any message worth giving to the beginner, it's there are no shortcuts in photography. You know, we just got to do the work. And it's just such a powerful medium and such a powerful tool. And if you think about the arts, how much photography can influence the world? And it's not, we have more power in the palm of our hands with our cameras today than most people realize.
Oh yeah, so much.
Yeah.
And even though we have a lot more shortcuts than when he said this and quote this, it actually gives you more. You have more tools, more availability, so you can't even shortcut because there's more you have to do instead of I'm dropping off my roll of film.
Exactly. I'm done. Peace out.
That's it.
Mic drop for Hermosa Beach.
Yeah. Then the single most important component of a camera is the 12 inches behind it. Probably his most famous quote, Ansel Adams. And that is where it just comes back full circle. It's about you.
It's all about you. It always has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
Because you're the maker. You're the creator. You know, and, you know, the chef is making dinner for you, but really it's the chef. And you're making the picture. You may be making the picture for a client or for your family, but the picture has to come from here or else it's not going to do anything.
Yeah, you know, there's even times, Mark, it's interesting. I'll feel like when I sell one of my images, it's sometimes it can actually even be a little bit hard in a way because it's so much part of who I am.
Oh, you mean you're selling one of your children?
Yeah.
Really?
It's like I'll see it in the house and it's like, because that's part of who I am so much and so deeply.
Yeah.
When I was processing the image
Yeah.
mentally, that when it's in their home, I'm like, wow, now they're going to feel and have this experience with this, that it's raw because it's really me. Part of me is left there.
Wow. See, I've never, so that's interesting because I feel the joy when I go into your house and I see my picture on the wall, right? I think that's cool that I really loved it and now Jill gets to love it too.
Right.
You know, and it's just a different emotion.
It is cool. And it's very cool that if you feel honored,
Yes.
100% that you've chosen that, but it's still a raw feeling when you create something. It's
wow. Huh. We spend so much of our time looking, but never seeing.
Yep. Another key to this whole class of when I bring up the crooked horizon, you can take the photograph of the beach, but if your horizon is crooked, you're not really seen.
Or the trash can, or the power line, or the guy walking out of the picture.
Or the shadow under the nose.
Yes, whatever. Pick whatever your Achilles heel is.
It's really important to do those mental like puzzles that are like, you know, these two images and find the difference of the images. And you're like, wow, when you really start looking, it's really important to do that when you are conceptualizing what you're shooting.
Yes.
And see that, oh, there's an extension cord in that. Oh, there's this, that needs to move because it's there.
It's there.
And somebody else will see it if you're not seeing it.
Yep.
And that will distract them from what you're really trying to share. And
you'll lose the message. There's no message. It's just there was a hair in their eye or an extension cord or the horizon's not straight.
Yeah.
I don't care that Godzilla's walking out of the water, but the horizon's not straight.
That may be just like also the horizon thing's a whole photo geeky thing.
Exactly.
But it becomes a joke down the road.
So guys, do you have any questions about what we're going to do in the class? Yes, the recording will be available. For those of you who wish to sign up for tonight, please just go online to creativephotoacademy.com and do it. because I think there's 2 or 3 spots left for this session. I want to run, any other questions for Jill or I? We're right on time too, look at that.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's going to be just a really powerful class. It's going to be intimate setting of 25 people getting to know each other and really sharing how you've developed throughout the year by learning these lessons. I think it's going to be awesome.
I hope so too. I hope you guys are all part of it. I mean, I can't wait to be spending a year, Jill and I working together to bring this to you. And, we're in this to help our photography. And gang, one of the secrets I'll have to tell you is when you teach, you learn so much. And we learn from your work, from your help. And I'm just so excited to take my photography to the next level.
Yeah, I'm excited to do these classes with you too.
Yep.
It's always keep working out. You can't be the coach and not run with your team.
Great. Well, let's take a look, gang. I just want to share with you briefly. Hold on. Having that same problem. I didn't turn off the PowerPoint. Sorry. And usually when there's 2 speakers, you're on the other screen, so I have behind the scenes to do this.
Doing this, but
now, right?
We're trying to show we can be together.
Yes, exactly. So can you guys see the screen? Sorry, I have to run through this again. Hold on, can I get to the chat?
What are you looking for?
Nothing. Just trying to get, yes, perfect, Teresa, thank you. So, all right, so just to reiterate, boot camp, camera controls, technical photography, creativity. The goal of boot camp is to help make a difference in your pictures, to build your photo toolkit, to inspire your creativity, and to have fun. Everything I like to do is all about fun. In boot camp, we concentrate on the creative triangle and the technical triangle and how they work together. In intermediate, 5 intermediate classes, composition taught by Mark Grace, talks about composition, rule of thirds, leading line, controlling the picture, framing tightly, eliminating the extraneous. Intermediate exposure, again with Mark Grace, getting to know the mid-tone gray, getting comfortable with spot meter, how to control the locking of the exposure and managing the range from the light and the dark, the contrast, and to get the light right. Chris Camera is doing the landscape class. What is the subject? Creating depth, controlling the horizon and moving the eye, controlling the entire frame, controlling the range of light. You see, a lot of intermediate is about control. We know how to use the rules. Now we have to make the camera and the world behave around us so that the picture looks good. Intermediate flash with Bill Balser. Bigger is better on the flash, TTL. Manage your distance, the inverse square law. It's not for it's too dark, for outside flash. Heather is doing the people and portrait and events class. Connect with the subject, focus on the eyes, fill the frame, control the background, control the light and the shadow. In the advanced series, a lot of you were here on Monday night with Corey and I, where we talked about, in January, the inspirational images class with Annie Leibovitz and her book At Work. In June, with Ansel Adams and Andrea Stillman's book, looking at Ansel Adams, The Man in the Photographs. Awesome book. All 3 of these books, gang, should be in your library. And then in September, Dorothea Lange's Photographs of a Lifetime. Do you know that book?
This is going to be incredible.
It's an incredible class, and it's just so much, so exciting. So Dennis presented last Thursday about making the next image, how you build a body of work, research and dialogue, assessment and evaluation and understanding. Very powerful. I'm doing the concept to the project class, concept to presentation. 12 months, one concept, one project for you. We start in January with conceiving of a concept, conceiving of a project, and photographing it. In the middle of the year, we're shoot. The end of the year, we're editing, putting it all together till we share those in November. So tomorrow night, I'm gonna go over this class. I'm gonna help you guys decide if you wanna do it. If you're coming into the project class, I hope that you would watch tomorrow night because you'll see 4 years, about 75 different projects that have been presented over the last 4 years. And finally, my class with Jill here at STYLE, Expanding Your Photography. We've been through this tonight. It's just very powerful. I'm very honored to be able to be part of this and to be your leader and your mentor and your friend. I'm very excited. Any questions, gang? Questions? Last call for questions. Hold on. See, I'm having technical, it's not comfortable this way, leaning way over. All right, chat box there. Any questions? All right, everybody's excited to go. If you haven't registered, please do. And without anything else, without any more questions, thank you guys very much for attending tonight.
Yeah, thanks for giving us your time and hearing us tonight. Appreciate it.
It was fun, Jill, wasn't it?
It's fun.
This is what it's going to be like for a year.
It's fun to be with other people. You're not my husband. I love it. Somebody new and I.
Somebody new, exactly. And, I try to talk to Cheryl about this kind of stuff.
Right.
It doesn't work. I mean, how are your conversations with Graham about this kind of stuff?
I know. We talk about the dishes now.
Right,
know?
exactly. And, go do this and go do that. So, yes.
Yeah.
So, gang, yes, we're all struggling at home. We're all trying to be safe. We're wearing the mask here today because I know Jill's not sick, but I don't want to get her sick, and I don't want her to get sick from me. So
no, it's I'm preventative. I like I said, having had surgeries I've had, I'm a little bit more worrisome if anything were to happen. So I protect myself and you.
Yep.
Wear the mask for you.
Thank you.
It won't take long to do, but
No.
Let's focus on our art, not on that scary thing out there.
So make sure you guys check out at pulsephoto.com my Be Creative series, pulsephoto.com Be Creative. Today is day 278 of a photo tip every day in a video.
That's so crazy.
Isn't it crazy?
Can you believe he's been doing this 278
278 days. So I was talking to Cheryl last night, when are we going to quit? I don't know. Are we going to go 300, 365?
No, you know what you're going to do? You're going to do the Guinness Book of World Records.
For the longest?
The longest creativity, days of creativity. That would be awesome.
It's probably like 10,000 or something like that. I'm not going to live long enough.
Just every day keep doing it. I love it. That's great.
Find me the record. We'll see if we can go for it. All right, guys. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you. Have a
We'll
great
see you
night.
soon.
Bye.